Redefining the Empty Nest. Here are your hosts, Lisa McGrath and Renee Lowry.
Hi, welcome to Coffee Chat, Redefining the Empty Nest. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Renee.
And today we have the lovely Sally here to join us. Sally Green has not only been an entrepreneur for many years, but she's been a mom for many years. And she's redefining the empty nest. So Sally, thank you for joining us today. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I have a 26-year-old daughter. I've been married for 35 years. This past year during COVID, I looked in the mirror and I realized that I was really, really bad at taking care of me. And so I started a self-care journey that I've been on, and I'm just calling myself the self-care rock star. And I am just rocking my new body and my new mind and my new spirit. And I'm just excited to be here, and thank you both for inviting me.
You're quite welcome.
That sounds like an amazing transformative year that you've had. That is an incredible way to redefine your empty nest. And I know you said your daughter it's not just out of high school but right out of college time, probably. Is that right? Somewhere a little older?
She graduated high school in 2012. And she went away to college, and I was heartbroken. She was, I did she played softball in high school. She was on a travel softball team. So we were traveling around the New England area with her, playing softball. I was driving her to her friends' houses. And so my whole existence was taking care of my daughter. And then she went away to college, and I sat here and said, what do I do now? I'm nothing now. And I was heartbroken. And so I had to really do some soul searching. And this was back then. And, she was away for 4 years. And then she came back after she graduated from college. She came back home. She's living home now, but she's this summer she's moving back away to New York with her boyfriend. So so I'll be an empty nester again.
So Sally, what was that relationship like when she moved back after college?
Well, we were always close. I mean, her college was within driving distance from here. Oh. So she would be home in the summers, and a lot of times on like long weekends, we would go get her. It was, a 30, 45 minute ride from here. So she lived there only because we didn't have an extra car for her to drive back and forth. And so, but we were close. We've always been close. I mean, she was my only daughter, my baby.
See, that makes a difference. Renee, you have 2 girls. Not that you love one over the other, but do you find that you have a close knit relationship more so with one than the other?
I do. And I think the difference is the one that I'm slightly differently close to, let's say it that way, less close, is just like me. So we when we interact, it's almost like she's my mini me. She knows my thoughts. It's like we're definitely always on the same page. However, I don't appreciate her the same way I appreciate my younger one. And she's a lot more like her father in that regard. And she's a wild spirit that you can't control. And I love that about her. It drives me crazy, but I love that about her. And so it's been this learning process as a mother of getting to know her quirks, getting to figure out like how to manage someone so all the time. and I'm much more tame myself. And so is my older daughter. So it was just like this foreign entity in our house, a little alien. And so it's been a journey that I've spent the last 20 years learning who and how to live with this kid, and so that I think created a little bit of a more special place in my heart, let's say, for the younger one. But the older one's definitely, I could always reason with her. She's like, we share a brain sometimes. It's very intriguing. We have deep discussions about the most crazy things, because we can relate on such a deep level. So in that sense, yes, we have the bonding for sure. But as far as the joy, I think that definitely goes more to my younger one. I appreciate her more.
Yeah.
For
I
who
think
she is.
when Sally said she only had the one, and it's a daughter, that to me is a special relationship. I'm assuming. Because again, I had two boys. And so the relationship with the boys was a little bit different than I've been hearing that moms with girls. I'm going to be quite honest. My older boy was kind of wanted to be the man, whereas the younger boy was my baby. And so I had a different relationship. Sally, where does your daughter fall? Is she more like you in temperament or your husband?
Well, I'll tell you, and you were talking about boys and raising boys and girls. Well, I came from a family, I was the only girl. I had 4 brothers. And so my brothers are all, and I tease them all the time because they're all mommy's boys, they all, and I was always a daddy's girl. So, but my daughter is, my husband's sports, and I'm artsy and in theater and that kind of stuff. And so when my daughter was younger, I was like, all right, I'm going to take her for guitar lessons. I'm going to teach her music. I'm going to take her dancing. She hated it.
Oh, wow.
I took her to dance school, and she comes home and she's like, Mom, that lady doesn't know how to dance. She's having me tap my foot like this, and I know how to dance, and it's not that way. And so I'm like, what am I going to do with this child? And my husband's like, she's a ball player. I'm going to get her out there. And she loved being with Daddy and loved playing ball. And so finally I was just like, all right. And she hated guitar lessons. And so, but she's got my creative side, and she's right now she went back to be a teacher. I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I didn't go to college, but I taught Sunday school for 30 years at my church, and I just love teaching, and it was something I always wanted to do, but we didn't have the money to go to college when I was younger. So so she went to school, became a teacher. She's a second grade teacher working with these kids, and she's absolutely loving it. And she's so creative. And I keep saying to her, you get all this creativity from me, not from your father.
Yeah, she can do the recess stuff outside. That's the dad's stuff.
Right.
That's awesome. Oh, I love it.
It is good to know where those traits come from, and take all the credit for the good ones only.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Would you say that your recent journey in improving your health and your mental wellness and all of this has been affected by that journey you were just talking about of I'm sorry, I'm just totally drawing a blank. This is terrible. You were just talking about never mind. Forget I said that. I cannot remember for the life of me.
You're talking about my self-care journey.
Yes, the self-care journey. I was just thinking before, I don't remember what it was about, but it had something to do with what you said earlier. And something in that made me think that maybe inspired you too,
Well, I'll tell you what my daughter was the one who inspired me, because during the last, she was going for her student teaching, and she was in the middle of her student teaching, which was the last leg of her to get her degree, and her teaching degree. And then COVID hit. And so she wasn't able to finish her student teaching, and she wound up having to be home here. And so we were stuck here, and she said to me, Mom, we got to do something. This was after like 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks were great because I hadn't had a vacation or anything in like 5 years. And so the first 2 weeks I was like, this is awesome. And then after that, it was like, all right, now I'm getting stir crazy. So she said, come on, Ma, let's go for a walk. And there's down our street and across the street is a cemetery. We've lived across the street from the cemetery for 35 years. And she's like, I see people walking all the time around in the cemetery all the time. Let's take a walk down the hill and go walk in the cemetery. So her and I went down and walked in the cemetery. My husband came with us. And I was like, this is so much fun. Let's just keep doing this. And we started doing it, and we've been doing it ever since. And so it's been we do it probably 4 or 5 times a week now. Now she's back in, she's at school, but my husband and I have been doing it, and it's just so invigorating to just get up and go for a walk. And it was something, when we were working, because we were working 10, 12-hour days. We had an office that we did in the morning, and then we had a couple houses that we would clean in the afternoons. We didn't have time to go to walk, and taking care of me was just something I never even thought of. So
that's pretty common.
Yeah. So we started going for these walks, and she was the one who was instrumental in doing that. And then, we were like, all right, well, if we're going to be walking, we got to start eating better because, the stuff we're eating isn't really that good. So we took all our recipes that we liked and we tweaked them, and we figured out ways to make them healthier, and took the hamburger buns out of the equation. We made a hamburger salad. We would do Taco Tuesdays with a bed of lettuce and just turkey meat instead of beef. So we took all of my recipes that we like to eat on a regular basis, and we tweaked them all, and we added new things. And she, like I said, she likes to cook too, so she would help me do that. So
that's fun, playing in the kitchen and swapping out things.
It is.
I like that. I used to do a lot of baking with my boys, and bread. I made all my own breads weekly. So we called them love notes. They would leave love notes. Mom, can you make some focaccia bread? And P.S. Can it be a double batch? Can we have pizza? And that kind of thing. So I do love that idea of being in the kitchen with our kids, and that's fabulous, creating those recipes.
That is awesome. Yeah.
But one of the things when she went away to college, I started doing, because at that time I was, I was working, but I started painting. And I had gone with a couple of girlfriends to a paint and wine night, paint and sip. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is so much fun. And it wasn't the wine, although the wine was nice.
That helped.
But it was just, that did help. But it was just the act of sitting and painting and getting lost in a painting. And so I went to the local Michael's store, and I bought canvas, and I bought my own paints. And I found a YouTube artist, and I just followed along and started doing it. And then, my mom was like, come on, why don't you bring your paints and buy some canvases for us, and me and you will paint together. And a couple of my aunts were there. And so I went over there and taught them a painting. And then my cousin said, oh, I like the painting you did for moms. Would you come over and teach me and my girlfriends, and we'll do a paint and wine night? And so I would go to her house and do a paint. So now I started teaching these classes. So that was kind of, where I was even pre-COVID, is I was, doing my business, and I was teaching these paint and wine classes. And I wasn't doing a lot of them, but it was just for family and friends. And then I was doing them at my church. With the kids, I was doing paint classes, and then for the adults, I was doing paint classes too. So it's kind of like where, when my daughter left, that kind of filled that void for me. So finding that really helped me a lot.
Were you creative as a child?
I've always been creative. Yeah. I always loved art and journaling and writing and. So coloring, that was my thing. I always wanted to be a teacher. When we were younger, I'd play with my cousins and my aunt, and they would be like, they wanted to play house, and I'd be like, no, let's play school, and I'm the teacher.
Yeah.
And I did, all right, everybody sit down, listen to me. And, but that kind of stuff. So I was always just very creative.
Yeah. I think I did the same thing. We would play when I was a child, we would play school. because that just it intrigued me, and I would be the teacher, of course. And then I was able to live that dream of becoming a teacher, on a national board certified teacher. But then I was able to take another dream off the shelf, and that's to be a published author and to help others, get published. So are there any dreams that are sitting on your shelf, Sally, that you'd like to take down and dust off?
Well, I'll tell you, writing a book is one. Writing my own book. And in fact, during this whole thing, during my whole transformation, one of the things that happened to me was I was on the computer, and Forbes Riley, who was on one night, and she made an offer, and she was looking for people to write a chapter for a book she was publishing. And I was sitting here on a Friday night, and I said, I'm going to write a chapter in her book. And I sat down, and it was funny because the words just flowed. I just sat there and everything just came out of it. And I think I was one of the first people to submit the chapter, and I had it all completely written by Sunday night. And this was Friday that she made the offer. And I was like, I knew exactly what my habit was. I knew exactly what my one habit was. I knew exactly what I was going to write about. And the words just flowed. And so I sent that off. And so now my dream is to create and write my own book. It's something, it's probably 4 or 5 years out, but I want to really do this rock star thing, and make that big, and see if I can help other people, and then work on that. So that's, I've got it in my head. It's percolating in there. So.
Yeah. Well, see, what you're doing with your rock stars, you're helping to impact the lives of women, which is very, very important. Mm-hmm. And that's what this coffee chat is about. It's redefining the empty nest. So if you could give other moms that are either on the path, like Renee is on the path of being on the empty nest, what would some advice be for them?
Find something you love and go after it. If you're creative, do something creative. If you're detailed, find something detailed that you can do. I know people who are very numbers people, and painting is not their thing, because they need the detail, and painting could be more, especially the painting that I do, because I'm more abstract and just, details kind of drive me crazy, being the artistic type. But I would say find something you enjoy doing, and just do it. It's hard. I think we do things, and we think that we have to get paid for everything we do, or we should get paid for everything we do, but you should find something you do that you don't want to get paid for. If it's writing or journaling, if it's painting or gardening, just something that's going to make you happy. It's something that you're not, maybe it might turn into a business, but just something that you're going to do that you're going to enjoy.
Yeah, I love that advice. Just go out there and discover what's going to make you happy. And it's fun to try new things. You don't have to love it. You can try it and then move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So that's great. We want to say thank you. Did you have any last questions, Renee, before we tie this up?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, Sally, for coming on our show. It was very fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because again, we all have different we've been there. We have advice, we have experiences, and at the end of the day, what we really have are our kids. So thank you for sharing, Sally. We appreciate it. I'm Lisa McGrath for Coffee Chat, Redefining the Empty Nest, and my co-host,
Renee Lowry.
And we're going to say thank you again, Sally Green. We appreciate you being here.
If you'd like to be a guest on Coffee Chat, follow the link, be a speaker, and apply. Subscribe and like our videos. You can follow Redefining the Empty Nest on YouTube or join the Facebook group.